Hey, Shalom, Israel, Shalom. Happy Sabbath. As always, if I can be heard, please put Khan in the chat and let me know where you're tuning in from. And if brothers and sisters would like to participate in the Q&A today, please send all your questions to AOCHouston@gmail.com. It's going to be the email address that's ticking across your screen. Again, if you're just tuning in, put Khan in the chat if I can be heard, and just let me know where you're tuning in from. Khan, Shalom, Sister Pathaya, Shalom, Omari, Shalom, Sister Kana. Give it a few more minutes for brothers and sisters to file in, and then we'll get started. All right, brother. So we'll go ahead and get started. So if you don't mind, go to the book of Matthew, chapter 17. I'm not. All right, brother. So Salakia. Go ahead and read Matthew chapter 17. Um actually start at Matthew 16 and 27.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 16, verse 27. For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then shall reward every man according to his works.
Go ahead.
Verily I say unto you, there be some standing here which shall not taste of death till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom.
Right. So when you read Matthew 17, the purpose of what takes place at the beginning of this chapter is to show the disciples Yahushua in his glory, right? Kind of show them a little bit more power that Yahushua is dealing with, right? So go ahead, 17 and 1.
Matthew 17, verse 1. And after 6 days, Yahushua taketh Peter, James, and John, his brother, and bringeth them up into a high mountain apart.
Right. So he took these three, Peter, James, and John, right? The two sons of Zebedee and Peter. And as you read in the Gospels, there's a common theme, right? When it comes to these three disciples, it reads as you know, their rank and file, they're leaders amongst the disciples, right? You have the disciples. Hey, give me 1 second. 1 second, Salakia. Hey, Salakia. Hey, everybody. That was Chief Priest Shar Nathaniel and wanted me to tell everybody Shalom, happy Sabbath. He won't be able to make it on today, but he just wanted me to wish everybody a happy Sabbath. So like I was saying, these three disciples, right? Peter, James, and John, right? These are, three of the disciples that were with Christ a lot when we'll get some of those scriptures, but they were like leaders amongst the disciples. Peter, as we know, he's the rock, the head of the church. And then John, he's the disciple that Yahushua loved, right? Let's go to Luke chapter 8, verse 51. So if you're just joining us, we've started at Matthew 17 and 1. Yahushua has taken Peter, James, and John up to a high mountain, right? Go ahead. Luke chapter 8 and verse 51.
Luke chapter 8, verse 51. And when he came into the house, he suffered no man to go in, save Peter and James and John, and the father and the mother of the maiden.
Right. So this is when Yahushua he raises the young sister back to life, right? Jairus' daughter, right? This is right after the sister with the issue of blood, 12 years, touched the hem of his garment. And so when he was going into the house, who did he take with him? Same brothers that he just took upon this mountain with him, Peter, James, and John, right? Go to Matthew chapter 26 and verse 37.
Book of Matthew, chapter 26, verse 37. And he took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy.
Go ahead.
Then saith he unto them, My soul is exceeding sorrowful, even unto death. Tarry ye here and watch with me.
Right. This is when he was in Gethsemane, right? When he went to pray. This is right before Judas betrayed him. And, you know, Yahushua went in to pray, man. He knew his hour was at hand. And, you know, the thing about brothers, sisters, wives, husbands, you know, they're to bring comfort unto you. And so Yahushua took his boys with him, you know, these three. It's something about these three disciples. Now, he loved all the disciples, of course, you know, especially the main 12, but it was something about these three, right? Go to the book of Matthew chapter 20 and verse 20.
Matthew 20 and verse 20. Then came to him the mother of Zebedee's children with her sons, worshiping him and desiring a certain thing of him. And he said unto her, What wilt thou? She saith unto him, Grant that these my two sons may sit, the one on thy right hand and the other on thy left in thy kingdom.
Right. So she asks, you know, and in different reconciliations of the Gospels, they say her, or they say it was the sons. Nevertheless, this is the question that was asked, right? And watch what Yahushua says. Go ahead.
But Yahushua answered and said, Ye know not what ye ask. Are ye able to drink of the cup that I shall drink of, and to be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with?
Right. So he's asking, are you able to drink of the cup that I'm going to drink of, or be baptized with the baptism that I'm going to be baptized with? And in this statement alone right here, it gives you a clear distinction or a clear separation between the baptism of John and then the baptism which Christ is speaking that he's going to be baptized with. Because the baptism of physical water, you know, that's nothing that's hard to bear, right? But this baptism that he's speaking of is a different type of a baptism. And he said, are you able to drink of that cup? That cup, real quick, jump back up to verse 19.
Matthew chapter 20, verse 19. And shall deliver him to the Gentiles to mock, and to scourge, and to crucify him. And the third day he shall rise again.
Right. That's that cup that he's speaking of. Those various trials and tribulations that he would have to go through. And get this, every man in his own order. Like the scriptures say, we are first fruits unto Yahushua. Every man in his own order drinks of that cup and has to go through those various trials and tribulations in this life. The Lord went through it, the Master went through it, then we're going to go through those things too. It's to strengthen us and harden us, right? So that's the cup that he's speaking of, right? So go ahead, read verse 22 again.
Matthew 20, verse 22. But Yahushua answered and said, Ye know not what ye ask. Are ye able to drink of the cup that I shall drink of, and to be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with? They say unto him, We are able. And he saith unto them, Ye shall drink indeed of my cup, and be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with. But to sit on the right hand and on the left is not mine to give, but it shall be given to them for whom it is prepared of my Father.
Right. So basically, Yahushua told them, you know, because when they asked, he said, can you drink of this cup and be baptized with that baptism? And so they said, yeah, right? And so Yahushua is like, you shall indeed drink of that cup and be baptized with that. So you got half of it down right now. He's telling half of that request, is going to be honored. But I can't tell you the other half. That's for the Most High to give, right? And it's not too far-fetched that it could happen to them, because the disciples are going to have a position of honor at the return of Yahushua. They're going to judge the 12 tribes. And then you have these two in particular, along with Peter, whom the scriptures, reconcile as leaders amongst the disciples, right? Let's go to the book of John, chapter 19. Go to John 19.
From the top.
Start at verse 19 and 25.
This is the book of John, chapter 19, verse 25. Then the soldiers, when they had crucified Yahushua, took his garments and made 4 parts.
Now, jump to verse 25.
Verse 25. Now there stood by the cross of Yahushua his mother, and his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Cleophas, and Mary Magdalene. When Yahushua therefore saw his mother and the disciple standing by, whom he loved, he saith unto his mother, Woman, behold thy son. Then he said to the disciples, Behold thy mother. And from that hour, that disciple took her unto his own home. After this, Yahushua knowing
right there. So basically, as Yahushua is on the cross, right? He's beholding the people in the crowd, and he sees, he sees his mother, his mother's sister. He's naming all these people. Then he looks at the disciple whom he loves, and he tells him, Hey, my man, behold your mother. Mother, behold your son. Basically saying, hey, this is your son now. And so, he gave that disciple charge over his mother. And so he brought his mother in to live with him for the rest of her days. Right? That's John. Go to John chapter 1. Go back to chapter 1. John chapter 1 and verse you can start at verse 41.
It's the book of John, chapter 1, verse 41. He first findeth his own brother Simon, and saith unto him, We have found the Messiah, which is being interpreted the Christ. And he brought him to Yahushua. And when Yahushua beheld him, he said, Art thou Simon, the son of Jonah? Thou shalt be called Cephas, which is by interpretation a stone.
Which is by interpretation a stone. He calling him a stone, right? And this is there's duality in him calling him a stone. We're gonna deal with the first part of it. Go to Matthew chapter 16 and verse 18. All right.
Matthew chapter 16, verse 8.
18.
Sure. And I say, Matthew 16, verse 18, and I say also unto thee, that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom of heaven. And whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever thou shalt loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven.
You see that? So that's the first part of it, him calling, Peter a stone, right? The rock. He's going to be the rock of the church. And he didn't just get these, they weren't just given these titles, man. They had to, they were around Yahushua. They labored with him. They were under his tutelage, and he tried them, as men are tried, man. And, They were given these honors. Now go back to John chapter 21. All right. Again, we're just touching on Peter and John. All right. Peter being the rock, and John being the disciple that Yahawashi loved. Right? You can start at verse 15.
Okay. Book of John, chapter 21, verse 15. So when they had dined, Yahawashi saith unto Peter, Simon, Salak. So when they had dined, Yahawashi saith unto Simon Peter, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me more than these?
Go ahead.
He saith unto him, Yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. He saith unto him, Feed my lambs.
Go ahead.
He saith unto him again the second time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? He saith unto him, Yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. He saith unto him, Feed my sheep.
Go ahead.
He saith unto him the third time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? Peter was grieved because he had said unto him the third time, Lovest thou me? And he said unto him, Lord, thou knowest all things. Thou knowest that I love thee. Yahawashi said unto him, Feed my sheep.
So this is 3 times, which means emphasis. So Christ just asked him, hey man, do you love me? You love me? And so he keep asking him that because he's about to tell him something that's going to be very important for Peter to understand. Because if we remember, right, what did Yahawashi first tell Peter? He said, yo, you're going to deny me 3 times. And when he denied Yahawashi, it was, people were saying, you was amongst him. You was with him, and he was just like, nah, that wasn't me. So, obviously it was a rough time. And obviously brothers wasn't as strong as they are now, but he wasn't in any imminent danger at that point, right? Because if you go back to when they was in Gethsemane and they tried to come and get Yahawashi, virtue was pushed forth from Yahawashi, right? When they tried to get him. And he did that because he didn't want them messing with the disciples. So he kind of had to, show forth some power, and the soldiers that came to get him, they kind of fell back a little bit, and they fell. And he did that so that he could protect the disciples. Like, nah, it ain't their time. You here for me and me only, right? And so now this is after Yahawashi had risen, right? And he's with the disciples for one of the last times that they would see him. So he's asking Peter, hey, Peter, do you love me? And that's the thing that everybody should be asking themselves when it comes to Yahawashi. Do you love Yahawashi? Right? Do you love him? Because he's not just asking him this question to pick at him. He's asking him, he put emphasis on, he asked him 3 times. He's asking him because he's about to tell him something extremely special. So go ahead, read verse 18.
Verse 18. Verily, verily, I say unto thee, when thou wast young, thou girdest thyself and walkest whither thou wouldest.
You see that? That's the second part of him being a stone. He said, when you were a young man, you girded yourself and you would walk where you would, meaning you girded up, and with your strength and your power, you could do whatever you wanted to do. Peter wasn't no punk. That's basically what he's telling him. Now, you ain't no punk, man. That's why he's just stone. Like a name called Stone, that just lets you know how rough and tumble a brother is, man. He's a soldier, man. That's basically what he's telling him. Yo, you girded yourself and you went where you wanted to go and you did what you wanted to do, basically, right? But watch what he says next. Go ahead.
But when thou shalt be old.
Start from the top of 18.
Time. Just wanted to add on, just like today, how many of us know a brother named Rock? And what his personality or his characteristics are.
Right.
This is you see what I'm saying? John chapter 21, verse 18. Verily, verily, I say unto thee, when thou wast young, thou girdest thyself and walkest whither thou wouldest. But when thou shalt be old, thou shalt stretch forth thy hands, and shall gird thee, and another shall gird thee, and carry thee whither thou wouldest not.
See that? So he basically telling when you get old, though, somebody else gonna gird you, somebody else gonna carry you and take you where you don't want to go. Yeah. Next verse, watch what this means. Read.
Verse 19. This spake he, signifying by what death he should glorify the Most High. And when he had spoken this, he saith unto him, follow me.
So here's the thing. He basically told Peter how he was going to die. And when you read in the scriptures, man, roughly paraphrasing, the Most High loves the death of the saints. He loves that thing. And so that's a glorification. You're glorifying the Most High in the death of the saints. And so he asked Peter that question 3 times to let him know, hey, you got to remember that in times of trouble and in times of tribulation, man, when you're going through it, Yahushua asking Peter 3 times, hey, man, do you love me? Because if you love him, you're going to understand that every man in his order is going to deal with some things like that. Man and woman, you're going to deal with tribulation. You're going to deal with these things. You know, this is how you count yourself worthy. When it get rough and it get easy and the trials and tribulations come and the persecutions come, do you love Yahushua? Do you love me? And so he told Peter, okay, all right, this is what it is, man. Understand this. And he said, follow me. So that's Peter, right? Now watch this. Read verse 20.
Verse 20. Then Peter, turning about, seeth the disciples whom Yahushua loved following, which also leaned on his breast at supper, and said, Lord, which is he that betrayeth thee?
Right, because remember at the supper, he leaned into Yahushua and asked him, like, who is it? Who's going to betray you? So this is who Peter sees following Yahushua, right? Again, it's always, you know, them 2, them 3, right? So he turns around and he sees him. Watch what he asks. Go ahead.
Verse 21. Peter seeing him saith to Yahushua, Lord, and what shall this man do? Yahushua said unto him, if I will that he tarry till I come, what is that to thee? Follow thou me.
You see that? When he's saying follow me, it's more than just at that moment to follow him, right? He's speaking not only to the disciples, but he's speaking to the future generation to come. Because when you read about the disciples, they always had these little debates about who was going to be the greatest amongst them. And Yahushua had to kind of simmer them down and be like, listen, you're all brethren. You're all brethren, man. But every man going to have his own lot. And so he had to tell him, like, yo, if I want him to stay alive until I come back, what is that to you? You just follow me. There's enough work for everybody. There's enough, you know, there's enough things for us to do to glorify the Most High. All of us, you know. Only those that seek vainglory and seek to bring the glory unto themselves care about things like that. So follow me, right? So, you know, these 3, they're leaders amongst the disciples. James, John, Peter. All right. So let's go back to the book of Matthew, right? Matthew chapter 17, verse 2.
Matthew chapter 17, verse 2.
You can read from the top again, just to, you know.
No. It's Matthew chapter 17 from the top. And after 6 days, Yahushua taketh Peter, James, and John his brother, and bringeth them up into a high mountain apart, and was transfigured before them. And his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was as white as the light.
Right. So basically what he did, when you go into the Greek, right? This is like a metamorphosis that he did, right? Go to Luke 9 and 29 real quick. See what it says in that account. Yeah, okay.
Luke chapter 9, verse 29. And as he prayed, the fashion of his countenance was altered, and his raiment was white and glistening. And behold,
Right.
there was
So, you can stop right there. So, Salakia. So he went through like a form of a metamorphosis, right? And this isn't anything that's like, check it out. This happened in the scriptures a couple of times with Christ. Go to John chapter 20 and verse 15. John 20 and 15.
Book of John chapter 20 and verse 15. Yahushua saith unto her, Woman, why weepest thou?
So what's going on right here at this moment, right? This is when they were at the tomb and they were all looking for Yahushua. And Mary was weeping because he wasn't there, right? And so he said, Why weepest thou? And he said, Whom seekest thou? Go ahead.
She, supposing him to be the gardener, saith unto him.
See that? She's supposing him to be what?
She, supposing him to be the gardener,
Go ahead.
saith unto him, Sir, if thou have borne him hence, tell me where thou hast laid him, and I will take him away.
So she basically saying, listen, if you taking him somewhere, let me know where he is so I can go get him. Right? Read.
Verse 16. Yahushua saith unto her, Mary. She turned herself and saith unto him, Rabboni, which is to say, Master. Yahushua saith unto her, Touch me not, for I am not yet ascended to my Father, but go to my brethren and say unto them, I ascend unto my Father and your Father, and to my God and your God.
Read that verse again. And the reason I want you to read it again is because this is one of those verses in the scriptures that those that try to find fault with the Bible, this is one of the ones they try to use, right? Because they try to say this scripture contradicts itself, right? So go ahead.
John chapter 20, verse 17. Yahushua saith unto her, Touch me not, for I am not yet ascended to my Father, but go to my brethren and say unto them, I ascend unto my Father and your Father, and to my God and your God.
So this is what Yahushua is saying. He's saying, don't touch me right now because I haven't ascended up to my Father. I haven't left to my Father. But go to the disciples, go to my brothers, and say unto them, I'm leaving. I ascend. Like, not that I have done it, but I'm about to ascend. I ascend to my Father. That's the way they spoke. He's not saying that he didn't ascend and he's just saying, listen, it hasn't happened yet. I haven't went up to my Father, but in time, I'm going to ascend to my Father. And why is he telling her to tell them that? Because the time is short and he's going to spend some time with everybody. That's it. But people in their disdain for the scriptures, man, they're always trying to find fault. And this is one of those verses that as you see people that try to discredit the Bible, they're going to use this to try to say it's contradicting itself. But there's nothing that's contradictory there. That's just how people are, right? So now let's go back to actually go to the book of Luke real quick. Luke 24. Luke chapter 24.
Luke chapter 24.
Verse 15. Tell me just a little bit.
Verse 15. It's the book of Luke chapter 24, verse 15.
Uh-huh.
And it came to pass that while they communed together and reasoned, Yahushua himself drew near and went with them. But their eyes were holden that they should not know him.
Right. Jump to verse. No, actually, keep reading. Salaki, keep reading.
Verse 17. And he saith unto them, What manner of communication are these that ye have one to another, as ye walk and are sad. And one of them, whose name was Cleopas, answering said unto him, Art thou only a stranger in Jerusalem, and hast not known the things that are come to pass there in these days?
Jump to verse 30.
Verse 30.
So he was obviously looked like someone else, right? Their eyes couldn't see it. And so watch what happens as you read the story. They have a little dialogue with them, right? So go ahead, verse 30.
Verse 30. And it came to pass, as he sat at meat with them, he took bread and blessed it and brake and gave to them. And their eyes were open, and they knew him, and he vanished out of their sight.
You see that? Just gone, right? So go ahead, read.
And they said one to another, Did not our hearts burn within us while he talked with us by the way, and while he opened to us the scriptures?
You see that? So, there's just some examples of, Christ, transfiguring in a sense, right? Going through sort of a metamorphosis. And so that's what's going on in the book of Matthew, chapter 17, right? Let's get back there. Matthew 17 and verse 3. You can read 2 and 3 together.
Okay. Matthew chapter 17, verse 2. And was transfigured before them, and his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as light. And behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elias talking with him.
Right. So Moses and Elijah were talking with Yahushua. And so what is this a representation of? The fact that there's Moses, and this is him in glory. There's Moses, Elijah, and Yahushua, right? This represents the law, the prophets, and now the gospel, right? That's what that represents. Though you have Moses, the lawgiver, right? Then you have Elijah, one, if not the greatest prophet, and then you have, of course, Yahushua. Let's go to Exodus chapter 24, verse 12. Deal with Moses for a second.
Exodus 24, what verse I don't want?
Verse 12.
It's the book of Exodus chapter 24 and verse 12. And the Lord saith unto Moses, Come up unto me into the mount, and be there, and I will give thee tables of stone, a law and commandments which I have written, that thou mayest teach them. And Moses rose up, and his minister Joshua and Moses went up into the mount of God. And he said unto the elders, Tarry ye here for us, until we come again unto you. And behold, Aaron and Hur are with you. And if any man have any matters to do, let him come unto them. And Moses went up into the mount, and then a cloud covered the mount. Salak, and a cloud covered the mount. And the glory of the Most High abode upon Mount Sinai. And the cloud covered it 6 days. And the 7th day he called unto Moses out of the midst of the cloud. And the sight of the glory of the Lord was like devouring fire on the top of the mount in the eyes of the children of Israel. And Moses went into the midst of the cloud and gat up into the mount, and Moses was in the mount 40 days and 40 nights.
And we're going to get more on this later in a sec, not later, but in a second. But, just again, when we're dealing with Moses and Elijah, we're just going to kind of show, highlight some things that were shown to us regarding them. This is one of them. Moses went up to the mountain with the Most High, man. 40 days and 40 nights. Go to Numbers chapter 12 and verse 3.
Book of Numbers, chapter 12, verse 3.
Watch what the Most High says about Moses. Go ahead.
Now the man Moses was very meek, above all the men which were upon the face of the earth.
Go ahead.
And the Lord spake suddenly unto Moses, and unto Aaron, and unto Miriam, Come out ye three unto the tabernacle of the congregation. And they three came out.
Go ahead.
And the Lord came down in the pillar of the cloud, and stood in the door of the tabernacle, and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. And he said, Hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream. My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all mine house. With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches, and the similitude of the Lord shall he behold. Wherefore then were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?
Right. So the Most High just said, listen, he's not going to speak to Moses in a parable or a similitude. He's going to speak to him plainly. He's going to tell him things plainly, not a riddle, nothing like that. He's going to declare it to him plainly. Right? That's how great Moses was. Right? That's the honor that the Most High gave unto Moses. So he took him up 40 days and 40 nights. And he told him, he said, anybody else I'm going to speak to in a dream. But Moses, I'm going to speak to him face to face and not in a riddle, right? And so go to 2nd Ezra chapter 14.
Second Ezra chapter 14.
Start at verse 1.
Verse 1. And it came to pass upon the third day, I sat under an oak, and behold, there came a voice out of a bush over against me, and said, Esdras, Esdras. And I said, Here am I, Lord. And I stood upon my feet. Then said he unto me, In the bush I did manifestly reveal myself unto Moses, and talk with him, when my people served in Egypt. And I sent him, and led my people out of Egypt, and brought him up to the Mount of Sinai, where I held him by me a long season.
Right, that long season, that 40 days, right? Go ahead.
And told him many wondrous things, and showed him the secrets of the times, and the end, and commanded him, saying, These words shalt thou declare, and these shalt thou hide.
Right, so the Most High showed Moses everything. The beginning, the middle, and the end. He showed it them all. He showed it all to him. Not in a parable, not in a riddle. He declared it plainly and apparently unto him. Right? So that's Moses. When you see how, when we read about AOCHouston at the Transfiguration, Moses has to be there. He represents the law. So now let's do one more thing within the law, right? Go to Deuteronomy chapter 18 and 18. Because what does the law do? Point to AOCHouston.
Deuteronomy chapter 18 and verse 18. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto thee, and will put my words in his mouth. And he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him.
Right, so that's Moses, right? So no, that's AOCHouston, but I'm saying this is, the law. This is written in the law. This is the time. This is Moses' time. Moses represents the law, right? So now let's deal with this man Elijah. Go to 1 Kings chapter 17. 1 Kings chapter 17. All right, start at verse 18.
Okay. This is the book of 1 Kings chapter 17, verse 18. And she said unto Elijah, what have I to do with thee, O thou man of God? Art thou come unto me to call my sins to remembrance and to slay my son? And he said unto her, give me thy son. And he took him out of her bosom and carried him up into a loft where he abode and laid him upon his own bed. And he cried unto the Lord and said, O Lord, my power, hast thou also brought evil upon the widow with whom I sojourn by slaying her son? And he stretched himself upon the child 3 times and cried unto the Most High and said, O Lord, my power, I pray thee, let this child's soul come into him again.
Read verse 21 again.
Verse 21, and he stretched himself upon the child 3 times and cried unto the Lord and said, O Lord, my power, I pray thee, let this child's soul come into him again.
Right. He stretched himself upon the child 3 times. Again, emphasis. 3 meaning emphasis, right? And so what happens? Verse 22.
Verse 22, and the Most High heard the voice of Elijah, and the soul of the child came into him again, and he revived. And Elijah took the child and brought him down out of the chamber into the house and delivered him unto his mother. And Elijah said, see, thy son liveth. And the woman said to Elijah, now by this I know that thou art a man of the Most High, and that the word of the Lord is in thy mouth. The word of the Lord in thy mouth is truth. Verse 18. Chapter. You wanted me to go on to chapter 18? You're on mute, King.
Salakia, man, I'm sorry. 2 Kings chapter 1.
Book of 2 Kings, chapter 1. From the top.
Start at verse. You can start at verse 8. You just start there.
It's the book of 2 Kings, chapter 1, verse 8.
Start at verse 7, Salakia. Start at 7.
Come, verse 7. And he said unto them, what manner of man was he which came up to meet you and told you these words? And they answered him, he was a hairy man, and girt with a girdle of leather about his loins. And he said, it is Elijah the Tishbite. Then the king sent unto him a captain of 50 with his 50. And he went up to him, and behold, he sat on the top of a hill. And he spake unto him, thou man of God, the king said, come down. The king hath said, come down. And Elijah answered and said to the captain of 50, if I be a man of the Most High, then let fire come down from heaven and consume thee and thy 50. And there came down fire from heaven and consumed him and his 50. Again also he sent unto him another captain of 50 with his 50. And he answered and said unto him, O man of God, thus hath the king said, come down quickly. And Elijah answered and said unto them, if I be a man of God, let fire come down from heaven and consume thee and thy 50. And the fire of the Most High came down from heaven and consumed him and his 50.
So we see him resurrect someone, and we also see him in the scriptures call down fire from heaven twice. Not only that, but he prayed for rain. He shut up rain. He split a river, and he gave a cloak to Elisha with a double portion of himself, of his spirit. And so Moses, Elijah, and Yahushua, right? So let's go back to Luke chapter 17 and verse 4. I mean, Matthew 17 and 4. I'm sorry, Matthew 17 and 4.
Okay. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 17, starting at verse 4. Then answered Peter and said unto Yahushua, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If thou wilt, let us make here 3 tabernacles, one for thee, and one for Moses, and one for Elias.
Right. So one for the law, one for the prophets, and one for Yahushua, right? And because here's another thing that's great about Elijah, and that was prophesied through another prophet, right? Go to the book of Malachi chapter 4. Malachi chapter 4. Start at verse 4. Malachi 4 and 4.
Book of Malachi, chapter 4, verse 4. Remember ye the law of Moses, my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel with the statutes and judgments.
Mm-hmm.
Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Most High. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse.
Right. So that is one of the missions that Elijah had, right? And he was to turn the hearts of the children to the fathers and the fathers to the children, right? And turn us back to the Most High. That's why it said in verse 4, remember the law of Moses, my servant. He's to bring us back to the law of the Most High. That's what the purpose of Elijah coming back would be, right? And he's going to prepare the way for Yahushua. So let's go back to Matthew chapter 17 and verse 5. So we have 3 tents, one for Moses, the law, Elijah, the prophets, and then Christ in the Gospels, right? Go ahead.
Matthew 17, verse 5. While he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them. And behold, a voice out of the cloud which said, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him.
Right. Hear ye him. Go back to Deuteronomy chapter 18 and 18. The Most High said, Hear ye him. The scriptures in the book of Proverbs tell us, kiss the Son, which means to embrace, lest he be angry.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 18. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto thee, and will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him.
Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him.
Hear ye him. The Most High said through Moses, he said, I shall command him, and it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words. The words that Christ is speaking, these from the Heavenly Father. Go to Hebrews chapter 1. Hebrews chapter 1. Hebrews 1 and 1.
It's the book of Hebrews chapter 1, verse 1. God, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets, hath in these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he hath appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the worlds.
So it said that the Most High, in various times and in different ways, spake in times past unto the fathers by the prophets, right? Go ahead, verse 2.
Hath in these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he hath appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the worlds.
The worlds is plural, right? So that's why when you read in the New Testament, the theme is Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai is doing the speaking. That's why you see the red letters. Because just like the prophets were the voice of the Most High, now is Yahweh Shai. And he represents the law and the prophets. Go to Matthew chapter 21. Matthew 21. Start at verse 35. It's a parable, but you can understand the parable. You know, it's
Matthew
easy to
chapter
understand this
1.
one. Go ahead.
Verse 35. And the husbandman took his servants and beat one, and killed another, and stoned another. Again, he sent other servants more than the first, and they did unto them likewise. But last of all, he sent unto them his son, saying, They will reverence my son. But when the husbandmen saw the son, they said among themselves, This is the heir. Come, let us kill him, and let us seize on his inheritance. And they caught him and cast him out of the vineyard and slew him.
Right. He was brought so that you can hear him, because he was going to speak the words of the Most High. Elijah prepared the way, and Yahweh Shai was to bring forth the gospel. And what is the gospel, right? The gospel is the good news, right? And it's not a New Testament concept. And that gospel is salvation for the nation of Israel. Salvation through loosing us from bondage. And what is bondage? Bondage isn't the law. Bondage is not only obviously a physical bondage, but bondage is the sin, right? Freeing us from the penalty of the law. That's why we're going to go into the book of Galatians soon, because that needs to be understood. Because as long as you're a murderer, you can bring it up to speed nowadays. There's no statute of limitation on that. As long as you're a murderer, there's a penalty for murder waiting on you. Unless what? You're punished for that, or you have a great lawyer. Otherwise, as long as you live, that murder is going to hang over your head. And so Christ is freeing us from that because he's a great lawyer. He's freeing us from the bondage of sin. Right? So now let's go back to actually go to Luke 24 real quick. Because remember, these three tents are representative of Moses, Elijah, and Christ, right? Moses and Elijah being the law and the prophets. Luke 24 and 44.
Luke chapter 24, verse 44. And he said unto them, These are the words which I spake unto you while I was yet with you, that all things must be fulfilled, which were written in the law of Moses, and in the prophets, and in the Psalms concerning me.
See that? So that's what you see here, right? You see the buck being passed to Yahweh Shai. That's why the Most High said, Hear ye him. Ain't no three tenths, ain't no three levels. It's Yahweh Shai. Moses had his turn, Elijah had his turn. Now it's Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai is the top dog. All right. Now let's go back to the book of Matthew chapter 17. You can start at verse 6.
Matthew 17 and verse 6. And when the disciples heard it, they fell on their face and were sore afraid. And Yahushua came and touched them and said, Arise and be not afraid. And when they had lifted up their eyes, they saw no man save Yahushua only. And as they came down from the mountain, Yahushua charged them, saying, Tell the vision of no man until the Son of Man be risen again from the dead.
Right. Tell this vision to no man. Right. So again, these three disciples, they got to witness something miraculous at the hands of Yahushua through the spirit and power of the Most High. Right. And so he said, tell the vision to no man, because that's what it was. It was a vision. Go to 2 Corinthians chapter 12. Right.
2 Corinthians chapter 12.
Because when you deal with a vision, right, a vision is something that's extremely, it's like an out-of-body experience. It's something that's surreal. Like you can't tell if it's real or if you're dreaming, but it's you're in a dreamlike state, but it just seems extremely real. Like you could, it's like if you pick up an apple in your dream, you could eat that thing. Like that's how a vision is, right? And watch this. Start at verse 1.
2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 1. It is not expedient for me, doubtless, to glory. I will come to visions and revelations of the Lord.
Right. Paul is saying it's not expedient for me to brag about this, right? There's no glory in this. Go ahead.
I knew a man in Christ above 14 years ago. Whether in the body, I cannot tell, or whether out of the body, I cannot tell. The Most High knoweth. Such a one caught up to the third heaven.
Go ahead.
And I knew such a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I cannot tell, God knoweth.
Right. So he's just saying, I don't know if I was asleep, vision, is this an out-of-body experience? Only the Lord knows. Only the Most High knows. Right. So it's the same thing with the disciples here. Like this is a vision, but it was so surreal. Peter talking about, let me make 3 tents. That's how surreal this vision was. Just like when Peter got the vision in Acts 10. It was told, rise and eat. He's like, not so, Lord. And again, when you deal with things like this, again, I spoke on this a few Sabbaths ago. Sleep paralysis, or like your old Southern grandmother say, that's the devil riding your back. That is extremely surreal. You feel like it's a real thing to the point that it's very frightening. So that's why the disciples, they didn't want to rise up because they was afraid. But Yahushua had to touch them. Hey man, it's all right, rise. So let's go back, Matthew chapter 17, verse 10.
Matthew 17, verse 10. And his disciples asked him, saying, Why then say the scribes that Elias must come first?
Why are they saying Elias must first come? We just deal with that, Malachi chapter 4. Because he's to prepare the way for Yahushua. Right? Go ahead, verse 11.
And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Elias truly shall first come and restore all things. But I say unto you that Elias is come already, and they knew him not, but have done unto him whatsoever they listed. Likewise shall also the Son of Man suffer of them. Then the disciples understood that he spake unto them of John the Baptist.
Right, because that's who Elias is. That's who he is. John the Baptist. That's Elijah. And it was said that John the Baptist was the greatest prophet. And in Elijah's time, he was the only, not the only, but he was the main prophet on the scene at the time. And then when you get to John the Baptist, Where the rest of the prophets at? It's mainly just John out there doing his thing. Go to 1 Kings 18 and 21.
First Kings chapter 18.
You can start at verse 20.
18 and verse 20.
Mm-hmm.
So Ahab sent unto all the children of Israel and gathered the prophets together unto Mount Carmel. And Elijah came unto all the people and said, How long have ye been between two options?
How ye between two options? How long are you gonna straddle the fence? How long are you gonna, be lukewarm? Go ahead.
If the Lord be God, follow him. But if Baal, then follow him.
Right. So what is he preaching unto them? What is this? What is he telling them to do? He's telling them to repent. Go to Matthew chapter 3 and verse 1.
Matthew chapter 3, verse 1. In those days came John the Baptist, preaching in the wilderness of Judea, and saying, Repent ye, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. For this is he that was spoken of by the prophet Isaiah, saying, The voice of one crying in the wilderness, Prepare ye the way of the Lord, make his path straight.
Go ahead.
And the same John had his raiments of camel's hair, and a leathern girdle about his loins, and his meat was locusts and wild honey.
Now go to 2 Kings chapter 1.
2 Kings chapter 1. From the top.
No, start at verse 7.
Verse 7. And he said unto them, What manner of man was he which came up to meet you and told you these words? And they answered him, He was a hairy man, and girt with a girdle of leather about his loins. And he said, It is Elijah the Tishbite.
See that? It's a parallel between the two. Elijah was fed by ravens in the wilderness. You see John the Baptist eating locusts and wild honey in the wilderness. Right? Go to Matthew chapter 14 and verse 8.
Matthew 14, verse 8. And she, being before instructed of her mother, said, Give me here John Baptist's head in a charger.
Jump to verse 11.
And his head was brought in a charger and given to the damsel, and she brought it to her mother.
Right. So this queen sought to kill John, and it happened. She got his head on the charger. Who does that remind you of? A queen seeking to kill one of the prophets? Go to 1 Kings chapter 19. Start at verse 1.
1 Kings chapter 19, verse 1. And Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, and withal how he had slain all the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger unto Elijah, saying, So let the gods do to me, and more also, if I make not thy life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time.
See that? So she had a thing for him. She sought to kill him, just like we have with John the Baptist, right? They both prophesied against kings, wicked kings, right? And there are much more, parallels between the two, but, like the disciples knew, right? Let's go back to Matthew chapter 17, right? Matthew 17, and you can start at verse 12.
Matthew 17, verse 12. But I say unto you that Elias is come already, and they knew him not, but have done unto him whatsoever they listed. Likewise shall also the Son of Man suffer of them.
You see that? Go ahead.
Then the disciples understood that he spake unto them of John the Baptist. And
Right.
when they were come to the multitude.
That's it on that.
Okay.
So they knew that he spake of John the Baptist, right? So when you're dealing with this transfiguration of Christ, it's a whole lot that goes into it. But the main thing is that it was to show the disciples Christ in his glory, and to continue to what's the word I'm looking for? Continue to build them up, right? And to continue to give them understanding. That's why he said, don't tell anybody this until after I've risen. And so, that was a question that the brother had asked. Get a little bit of understanding on that. So you can read about that in the book of Mark chapter 9, as well as the book of Luke chapter 9. Those disciples go into that transfiguration as well. Let me see if there's any questions here in the email.
Shalom, Sister Bethia. Tawab. The water for asking.
Real quick, go to the book of Job real quick. See where I want you to go. Job chapter 33 real quick. Just to kind of expound on, that, vision and stuff like that, right? Job chapter 33. Let me get there. I'll tell you what verse. Job 33 and you can start at verse 12.
Job chapter 33, verse 12. Behold, in this thou art not just. I will answer thee that the Most High is greater than man. Why dost thou strive against him? For he giveth not account of any of his matters. For God speaketh once, yea, twice, yet man perceive it not. In a dream, in a vision. Salat, verse 15. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when the deep sleep falleth upon men and slumbering upon the bed, then he openeth the ears of men and sealeth their instruction, that he may withdraw man from his purpose and hide pride from man.
Right. So that's why dreams feel so surreal, because sometimes the Most High is giving instruction. But again, we're so defiled as a people, right? That's why we have to fast and pray more, so that we can, coupled with the word, be clean so that we can start to spiritually discern these things. Every dream doesn't mean something, but the Most High speaks to us in dreams. Stay in the book of Job. Job chapter 15, right? Go to Job 15. Actually, before we go there, right? You can hold this. Let me see. Go to Sirach chapter 23, verse 9, real quick, and then we can hop back to this.
Book of Sirach, chapter 23, verse 9. Accustom not thy mouth to swearing, neither use thyself to the naming of the Holy One.
Watch this. Go back to Job. Here is why. Right? Here's why we have to continue to cleanse ourselves. Right? Job 15 and 16.
Job 15, verse 16.
Start at 15, actually.
15. Behold, he putteth no trust in his saints. Yea, the heavens are not clean in his sight.
Go ahead.
How much more abominable and filthy is man, which drinketh iniquity like water.
You see that? Read that again.
Job chapter 15, verse 15. Behold, he putteth no trust in his saints. Yea, the heavens are not clean in his sight. How much more abominable and filthy is man, which drinketh iniquity like water.
You see that? Man is abominable and filthy. So, we have to continuously cleanse ourselves, right? Through fasting, praying, studying. So that when Job 33 happens, we can discern and pray unto the Heavenly Father and ask him for interpretations of these things. Because he does send us dreams. But we're so spiritually unclean that we haven't tapped into understanding and knowing that that's what the Heavenly Father is doing.
Okay.
Like real quick, go to 2nd Ezra chapter 11, verse 1. Just verse 1. Might be 1 and 2, but I think it's just 1 on 1.
Second Ezra, chapter 11, verse 1. Then saw I a dream, and behold, there came up from the sea an eagle, which had 12 feathering wings and 3 heads. And I saw, and behold, she spread her wings over all the earth. And all the winds of the air blew on her and were gathered together. And I beheld out of her, and I beheld, and out of her feathers there grew another contrary feather.
Oh, you can stop right there, Salakia. You can stop right there. But it said, I saw a dream. Then saw I a dream, and behold, there came up from the sea an eagle, which had 12 feathered wings and 3 heads. So again, this is a prophet. And he sees this thing in a dream. Imagine how frightening that was for him. Like, man, what the hell is this? But he, the prophets, they were cleansed enough, right? They were given into righteousness enough to know that the Most High was dealing with them on a different type of level to send them certain type of dreams. And so if Yahweh Shai of his own mouth said, we'll do greater things than him, how much more is a dream? You know what I mean? Like, if we could do greater things than Yahweh Shai, receiving a dream from the Most High, that's a light thing. But again, we have to work ourselves to those things. Because he's sending you dreams every day. Well, I dream all the time, And sometimes I wake up laughing from a dream because, like the sister said, it'd be so surreal. And If it's funny in a dream, it's funny in real life. And so I wake up sometimes in the middle of the night just laughing, like hysterically laughing, like not to myself. I mean, laughing loudly, like to the point that I'm going to start crying laughing because of a dream, because it's so surreal, right? It seems so real. But then there are other times that I have a dream and I'm real perplexed and I'm like, let me write this down. You know, I've shared dreams with many of brothers and they've shared pieces of their dreams. They'd be like, dang, man, that's kind of similar. And then I have dreams and I'm like, man, that was so crazy. That was so ridiculous. But, you know, it's about fasting, praying, asking the Most High to reveal these different type of things. So if you have a dream and you feel like, man, that meant something, I got to know what that is, ask him. Pray unto him. But understand that you have to be willing to take the next step. And when you read the book of 2nd Ezra, that's all he did was take the next step. Prayed unto the Most High. Then he fasted. Prayed again. Fasted again. He was doing all sorts of things because he just wanted to know. So it's the same with us, you know. If you feel like something is so real that it's like, nah, this has to be something, pray to the Lord. Pray to him. Go to the book of James, chapter 1.
And before we move on, just to add on to what you were saying about as far as being, you know, how filthy we are compared to how he was dealing with a lot of the prophets. You know, as you were saying, you know, fasting is not just about what we're eating. You know, it's about what we're consuming, you know, in our ears, the music that we're listening to, you know, the manner of conversations that we're listening to or partaking in. Because, you know, like I know with our people, the majority of the time, the conversation is some type of gossip, some type of slander, some type of, you know, profanity. You know, you look at what we're consuming with our eyes as far as the way our you know, the way our women dress. You see every part of them. When you look on the television, you know, all of the crazy stuff that we see on social media, on the computer, on Facebook. You got to fast from those things as well in order to cleanse ourselves so that the Most High can enter into us. The point where he'll send us messages anyway. You know what I mean? So James chapter 1.
But nah, man, that's a beautiful point because, you know, the evil communication corrupts good manners, man. Scripture tell you, he that toucheth pigs shall be defiled therewith. All flesh consorted to its kind. That's all over the scriptures. Birds of a feather flock together. You know that. I mean that. You know,
I tell you, I could go around family members, man, and the conversation that I hear, like I could be there for 20 minutes, man, and I just get a blistering headache, bro. Just from, you know, just hearing them just talk badly about other family members or people that we know, or just all of the gossiping and bickering and just, you know, nonsense. So all just, you know, a bunch of foul speech.
And here's the thing. You're defiled with that. It is what it is, you know. And so that's why, you know, it's important that, you know, when we are taken into a fast, that we kind of have a chance to not only just not eat and drink, but you got to clear your mind as well. And the scripture says, you know, that you should know yourself. So you should know what you can be given into and that you need to stay away from to make your fast successful. Right? So this James 1 and start at verse 3.
God, this is the book of James, chapter 1, verse 3. Knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience, but let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask the Most High, that giveth to all men liberally and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him.
Go ahead.
Let him ask in faith, nothing wavering, for he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways.
You can stop right there. So, if you lack wisdom, ask the Most High for it. Ask him for wisdom. He'll give it to you liberally. When you cooking, somebody say, hey, season that liberally. You just get the seasoning. You throwing all sorts of stuff on it, man. That's the same thing. But here's the thing about wisdom, though. You have to do your part. Go to the book of and when I bring up wisdom, listen, you can obtain wisdom, and through obtaining wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, you can understand that the Most High is sending you a dream. You can discern those things. Go to the book of Sirach, chapter 6. When we're speaking of wisdom, you have to do your part as well. Sirach, chapter 6. Let's see. You can start at 18.
Sirach, chapter 6, verse 18. My son, gather instruction from thy youth up, so shalt thou find wisdom till thine old age. Come unto her as one that ploweth and soweth, and wait for her good fruits. For thou shalt not toil much in laboring about her, but thou shalt eat of the fruits right soon. She is very unpleasant to the unlearned. He that is without understanding will not remain with her. She will lie upon him as a mighty stone of trial, and he will cast her from him ere it be long.
Ere meaning before it's long, right? Go ahead.
For wisdom is according to her name, and she is not manifest unto many. Give ear, my son, receive my advice, and refuse not my counsel. And put thy feet into her fetters, and thy neck into her chain. Bow down thy shoulder, and bear her, and be not grieved with her bonds.
Go ahead.
Come unto her with thy whole heart, and keep her ways with all thy power. Search and seek, and she shall be made known unto thee. And when thou hast got hold of her, let her not go. For at the last thou shalt find her rest, and that shall be turned to thy joy. Then shall her fetters be a strong defense for thee, and her chains a robe of glory. For there is a golden ornament upon her, and her bands are purple lace. Thou shalt put her on as a robe of honor, and shalt put her about thee as a crown of joy.
Right. So basically what it's saying, basically what it's saying here is you have to be disciplined. You have to be disciplined in order to gain that wisdom, right? Go to the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6. Start at verse 12. Yeah, start at verse 12.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, verse 12. Wisdom is glorious and never fadeth away. Yea, she is easily seen of them that love her, and found of such as seek her. She preventeth them that desire her in making herself known unto them. Whoso seeketh her early shall have no great travail, for he shall find her sitting at his door. To think therefore upon her is perfection of wisdom, And whoso watcheth for her shall quickly be without care. For she goeth about seeking such as are worthy of her, showing herself favorably unto them in thy ways, and meeteth them in every thought. For the very true beginning of her is the desire of discipline, and the care of discipline is love. And love is the keeping of her laws, and the giving heed unto her laws is as assurance of corruption, is the assurance of incorruption.
Uh-huh.
And incorruption maketh us near unto God. Therefore, the desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom. If your delight be then in thrones and scepters, O ye kings of the people, honor wisdom, that ye may reign forevermore. As for wisdom, what she is and how she came up, I will tell you, and will not hide mysteries from you, but will seek her out from the beginning of her nativity and bring the knowledge of her into light, and will not pass over the truth.
Kind. So, it's all about discipline. And even going back to the disciples, man, they had to be disciplined. That's how they were able to receive those things, through their discipline. And so we have to be the same way. We want that type of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. We have to be disciplined. Ask and do what it takes to receive it. Right? And so going back to your dreams, you'll be able to understand them. You'll be able to ask the Most High, and he'll be able to show you. But it's not like he's always showing you, but because we don't have that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, we can't see it. We're blinded to it. But as you continue to grow and become wise and understanding, and you praying unto the Most High, and he's showing it to you, then then you'll be able to get it because of that discipline, right? So let me see here. I don't think there's any questions in the email address today. So with that, unless the brother Zion has anything else, I'm going to say Shalom. Happy Sabbath, and Most High willing, we'll speak to brothers and sisters next Sabbath.
Shabbat, Shalom.
Shalom.